You're listening to Permission To, the podcast where we dive into the science and soul of owning your worthiness as a perfectly imperfect human being. I'm your host, Sam Dew, psychotherapist, positive psychology coach, mama to a beautiful 5-year-old Amelie, and passionate advocate for living an inspired life. My aim is to show you that you have full permission to own your worthiness so that you can embrace your true nature and begin walking boldly toward your dreams. Let's dive in. Hello everyone. I hope you're all having a beautiful day and welcome to another episode of Permission To. I'm currently recording this episode whilst Frankie's having a nap and Amelie's watching far too much TV, but that's school holiday life and being a mama and a business owner. Sometimes we just got to do the best that we can and take it easy on ourselves and just work when we can in those little bits of time that we have. So I felt really called to kind of follow on from the mindset work that I've been sharing, but also to really look at what I would say like the biggest mistake that I see a lot of women in my community and my clients make when they are trying to work on themselves, to do the inner work and to do the mindset work. So that's what today's all about, permission to not make this mistake when it comes to mindset work. And can I just say that I also make this mistake? It's not just something that I see other women doing. I also see myself doing this, and I think it's like kind of inherently what makes us human. So drum roll please, the biggest mistake that I see a lot of people making when they work on their mindset, or really when they try to make any changes in their lives, not just mindset work. It might be, trying to create a new habit or trying to stop procrastinating about something, or trying to lean into something they're really scared of. But what I see time and time again is that women become really, really critical of themselves when they are trying to work on themselves. And there's like this inner critic. So let's say you've got a story that's keeping you stuck. Like let's say you want to create a podcast, but you've got a story like, who am I to create a podcast? I don't know enough about this, or, I don't have enough knowledge, or I'm not good enough to start a podcast, right? Let's just say that's a random example. Then let's say that you're finding it really hard to rewrite that story and it keeps coming up. What I find is then what will happen is there's like a second layer of mindset challenges, because then you start to do the mindset work and all of a sudden you've got this self-critic that's coming in going, oh, see, you can't even like do the mindset work. Like, what's wrong with you? Why can't you change this story? Like, why do you have all these negative stories? And it's like basically the thoughts that you have about the thoughts that you have, or the stories that you have about the stories you're telling yourself. And I think that the relationship that you have to yourself and the way you treat yourself as you're doing the work is actually more important than doing the work. I know that might seem a little bit hard to get your head around, but essentially, like when we decide to do mindset work or any kind of inner work or personal growth, right, we're doing it because we want to create more abundance of like joy and meaning in our lives and purpose. And so if that's the intention of you doing the work, but then you beat yourself up about how you're going with it, then obviously kind of defeats the purpose, right? So what I'm going to suggest, or I guess what the antidote to this is what I call self-compassion. So instead of, talking about like criticizing yourself when you have stories that are getting stuck, or being really hard on yourself about where you're at, or, telling yourself off about your mindset work. There's a lot of research. Christine Neff, actually, I'll put her in the show notes, has done a whole heap of research on compassion and how important it is to our well-being. But I find it's really, really important to doing the work. Like if you want to give yourself permission to grow and to change and to learn, you need to do it in a way that's like super gentle, super kind. Because if you're really hard on yourself, then you just like create that resistance and you create more stuckness. So What I like to do if I'm being really hard on myself, because I do this too when I'm trying to work on something, I will sometimes find if like I'm a bit stuck that my inner critic can come out. But so what I would do is try and be really compassionate. And sometimes I will literally just journal on this one question, like what would I do or what would I say if one of my friends was in this situation and they were telling themselves this story? So like back to the podcast example, if one of my friends was like talking to me and they were saying, oh, I really want to do a podcast, but I can't do it because like, you know, I don't know enough and I don't feel good enough and I've been trying to work on mindset, but yeah, I'm just so bad at mindset work and it's taking me so long. You know, like what would I say to them and how would I support them? And then I will journal on that and I will try and turn those words and that energy back towards myself. So, for example, I might say something like, oh, well, you know, it sounds like you're being really hard on yourself and maybe you're actually doing the best that you can. And, you know, it's okay if it takes time for you to work on your mindset. You can still, you know, launch your podcast anyway. That might be something that I would say back to my friend. And so I might try and say that back to myself. But often it's also not just what we're saying, but how we're saying it. Like it's like our inner voice and the way we talk to ourselves. It's kind of got a tone, right? It's got like, it can either be really soft and really gentle and really caring, or it can be like really critical, really harsh. So like really try and imagine that you're talking to yourself the same way that you would to like your bestie or like a small child, like someone you really love and really care about, and you'd hopefully talk to them in like a really gentle, patient voice. Try and give yourself that same patience as you do the work. And so this is just a big reminder that mindset work is not about being perfect. It's not about being hard on yourself, and there's nothing wrong with you if you are doing this work. Actually, I feel like that's enough. Like just trying and just deciding that you're going to, you know, continue to be on a journey of self-awareness where you get to know yourself, where you're always learning and growing. That is enough. There's nothing wrong with you if you decide to work on yourself and grow and learn. And actually, it's something to be celebrated, I think. So permission to do the work, do it compassionately and gently, and celebrate yourself so much for even, you know, being willing to go there, because so many people just don't want to even be aware of themselves and how they talk to themselves. So celebrate yourself, more celebration, less criticism. That's it in a nutshell. So this was a really short and sweet episode just to kind of back up the two mindset episodes that I had recently done. So yeah, just a reminder, when you're doing this work, be really gentle, be really compassionate, watch out for that inner critic and that kind of impatient side, because it's not going to be helpful. Thank you for today. I would be so grateful if you enjoyed this episode. Please share it, or please provide a 5-star review, because the more people that review this and share it, the more that I can get my message out to the world. Have a beautiful day.